These two guys combined for over 2 million subscribers on YouTube, but Max just sold his sour candy company, Sour Strips, to Hershey's for a generational wealth payday. Y'all know I run multiple seven-figure businesses, and today we're gonna answer questions from the guys in Beast Nation about how to take their money, their business, and even their personal brands to the next level.
Let's get it.
What is a path a man can take if he's not business-oriented and doesn't want to own or run a business? What options can he utilize for financial stability?
You either work for yourself or you work for someone else, right? And it's not necessarily one's better than the other. It's just kind of different paths you take. If you're not gonna be an entrepreneur, I look at it as like, how can I be the best employee in my career path? What you don't want to do is just stay stagnant, whether you're an entrepreneur or working for someone else. So what opportunities are available to level up in your career, and how can you make those jumps as quickly as possible?
I think most people, they operate with like a lazy mindset. They're just trying to like get into work, do the most minimal effort possible, and get home. So just by looking at even your career as an avenue for self-improvement, you're immediately gonna stand out. Because I used to be really nervous to like go to my boss and ask, what more responsibilities can I have? That's gonna be like off-putting. He probably doesn't wanna give me a promotion. But for me as a business owner, whenever someone who works for me comes to me and expresses interest to like contribute more, even if they're doing it to ask for more money, immediately, like I respect him a little bit more than the other employees. And whenever something new comes up that I need someone to handle, that's the guy who's gonna get it.
1000%. Half the work is just showing up. If every single person around you, they just do their job, and every year they're like, I can't wait for my performance review so I can maybe get a little tiny bump. It's like, how about instead of waiting till 12 months, you at 6 months go and be like, hey, I would love the chance to prove to you that I can do a higher level of tasks in the role. I want more complexity in my job. What are things that you're doing, no matter how small they are? How can I alleviate problems in your life?
Ideally though, you're working a skilled job, because if you're just working at like Home Depot or Starbucks, you don't have as much leverage to get ahead.
But on the contrary, look at your supervisors, your superiors, your boss, your leaders, the managers, whatever. There's levels to this shit, right? So you're like, how did they get there? Was it something that they just did over 10 years, or did they stay a little later, just be the person that's always there? I mean, if you're gonna be, I'm just sweeping the floor, be the best person that's sweeping the floor anyone's ever seen. The manager comes in and be like, man, this floor is clean, you know?
I'm sure there's plenty of examples of people who were like stocking the shelves at grocery stores, and then 10 years later, they're now the manager of a whole chain of the grocery stores.
And I'll tell you something else that's great is bring things to your leader or your boss that are improvements that you feel. Be like, hey, I'm in this aisle every single day and I see it, and I really think if we move this over here, I think the flow for customers, I think this would be easier for the customer. They may shoot down a lot of them, but sometimes you bring a good idea, they're gonna go, hey, let's implement that, and they're gonna remember that. So always be looking for ways to optimize the business.
All right, this is a two-parter. Number one, what would you say was the hardest, scariest thing when starting a business from nothing, and what did you do to overcome it? So for me, it was definitely the self-doubt, because I wanted to become financially free off of my YouTube channel, and I was like, there's very few people who have done that. It's like probably not gonna realistically work for me. And then I pushed it off and didn't do it because I didn't think it was gonna work. And then when I first tried to do YouTube, I kind of like half-assed it because I didn't want to invest too much time into something that was gonna fail. And really for me, what gave me the courage to do it anyway was thinking, if this doesn't work out and I like fall on my face, what's the worst case scenario here? And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'd have to move back in with my parents, which I don't really want to do, but I would survive. And then I'd have to like apply for jobs and grind some money back up. Then I thought about it and I was like, man, that would suck. And I'm going to do everything to make sure that doesn't happen. But like, I would survive versus I'm not gonna be able to live with myself if I never give this an all-in shot. And I went all in and it never ended up happening.
The scariest thing is just actually taking the leap, whether it be believing in yourself or the people around you. You feel maybe like, oh man, they're gonna make fun of me for even trying to do something. No one else in my circle's doing this. They're following this path and I'm trying to, deviate over here. And they'll be like, what are you trying to be? You trying to be a fancy entrepreneur? You're trying to do your own thing? You're trying to start a dang YouTube channel?
The big YouTubers here, guys. Watch out, you might film it.
When we started, we weren't making any money, right? Well, we got all the ridicule. So it's almost like, why are you even doing this? You're not even making any money. You're putting yourself out there. You're putting all the time. You're putting all the sacrifices. But it was like, I see a vision. I see a light at the end of the tunnel. It's far away, and I don't know how long it's going to take to get there, but I feel like this is the way to do it. You just got to start because there's so many people that will never start.
And eventually, you'll make new friends who are on the same path, like how we eventually met, after I'd watched your content. and looked up to you for a bit. You can shortcut it by joining Beast Nation or something, but like eventually you'll start to craft a new social circle of guys who have the same interests and who will challenge you to do more versus ridiculing you. But at first you kind of just gotta like grit your teeth and be like, all right, bro, like I'm doing YouTube. And second question from Chase, when you started filming, you would film a lot in public. What would you say to someone who was new to filming and getting over that fear? The funny thing is, I remember watching one of your videos, and Max would do these videos where he'd set up like a tripod at the Chipotle table, and he's sitting there talking to the camera, like making cheesy jokes. And like in the wide lens, there's like two people next to him eating their meal and kind of like looking over at Max. And I was like, this guy doesn't give a fuck, man. And I took it as a challenge. Later that day, with the next video I was filming, I went and I set a tripod on the table, and I kind of shit my pants trying to do it. I think I pussied out.
You shit your pants?
That would have been a much better story if I actually did. But what worked for me at the end was progressive overload. Like the same way in the gym, you try and add maybe 5 pounds per week. I started just going out around my block when it was the middle of the workday. So I was like, I'll probably just pass like one old guy walking by with like a walker. Like who cares if he sees me? And then once I was able to do that, I went to like the main road. And then before you know it, you're filming in the gym, which is what for me was the scariest one.
You hear that? Start filming in front of old people, and that's how you really get over it. You just gotta like put yourself out there and realize like what I'm trying to film. Like, am I gonna let these random people that I'm probably never gonna see again dictate what I can film?
One little trick I do if I'm ever in my head in public is I literally put up the camera and I just start going like blee, blah, 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 blee. And then I'm like, all right, now everyone's looking at me anyway, so now let me just film the actual clip.
I'm never embarrassed, but I'm sure David can attest to this. A lot of times though, when I have to refilm a clip and I gotta like walk out a door again, I'm like, oh man, now
that one's tough at the gym, man. Last week I refilmed the same clip 3 times. It was like 5 p.m. It was super busy, and I kept like, walking over and like kind of doing like a funny thing to the camera. I'm like, half these people are just like,
I just usually, if people are looking at me, I'm like, just ignore me. I just talk to my camera. Don't worry.
All right, next question.
Wait. Bro, you can like cut this out of the video, but have you been like, your skin looks good, man.
Really talking about my skin right now?
No, I'm just saying, like, like I'm trying to like
Thank
heal
you.
up my crow's feet, and you looking great, bro.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. You know what? When I gave you this hoodie, I actually threw this in there for you also.
Oh, I didn't even. What is this, bro?
Bro, this is Tej Hanley, and luckily for all of y'all, they're the sponsor of today's video. So the really cool thing about Tej Hanley, man, is that they're designed around simple routines. So it only takes a few minutes when you wake up and before bed, which makes it easy to stay consistent, and that way you can stay focused on whatever matters most.
That's nice.
I recommend starting with their level 1 system, which comes with all the essentials: a daily face wash, an exfoliating scrub, an AM moisturizer with SPF 20, and a PM moisturizer to use before bed. I'm not sure about you, but now that we've gotten into our 30s, I see so many guys around us developing like wrinkly skin. And honestly, I wish I'd started my skincare routine even earlier.
Me too.
And Tej Hanley has all your skincare needs covered. If you're struggling with acne, they have a breakout busting routine called Tej Clear.
What?
It's a powerful system that gives you everything you need to win the fight against acne. And don't just take my word for it. Trust the millions of guys who are using Tej Hanley with over 16,000 5-star reviews.
That's crazy.
And because Tej Hanley is sponsoring today's video, if you click that first link in the description, you can get 40% off your first box of Tej Hanley, and they're gonna throw in a free gift that's worth $20 on its own.
Plus, if you're a member, you get 20% off for life.
Damn. Just click that first link in the description to take your skincare routine to the next level. Next question, how to get out of a financial rut.
I'd compare it to almost like weight loss. If you're like, I don't understand why I keep gaining weight. It's like, well, why don't you see how much food you're putting in your mouth? Open up the Beastly app and just monitor every single thing that goes in your mouth. Money's kind of the same way. Track every single dollar you spend. Look at your credit card, your debit card, your checking account. Where are these tiny little frivolous charges that are adding up? What subscriptions you're still paying for that you don't even use? You only have 2 options: spend less or make more. But guess what? There's a secret option 3. Do both.
Yeah, after I quit my software job and I was trying to build up my business, saving an extra $300 a month by just being frugal and intelligent, that made a big difference because no longer was I as stressed about finances, and I was able to be more focused on being productive and trying to find ways to make money. I'd say that's the formula. Like, get less stressed by spending less money, and then when you're not stressed, it's gonna be a lot easier to like game plan the next big move.
And to be honest, a lot of people get peer pressured by their friends. You know, you set a budget, hey, I'm only gonna spend $10 a day on food or whatever, and your friend comes up like, hey man, let's go out to the eat tonight, and you feel peer pressured like you have to go. Sometimes it's okay to say no and be like, hey man, not tonight, I already made some dinner. And like, a lot of times I feel like people spend more than they should because they feel like they have to be in this kind of social situation.
It's also a great practice to set of boundaries, which is like a valuable skill in relationships and with business. So I like that. When is the right time to go all in on your North Star? Like quitting a full-time job and starting an online business or YouTube channel. Could y'all speak about the confidence needed to take that jump?
Yeah, as someone, I quit my job in 2016, and then I made that big life-changing decision to go all in, and it really came down to two factors. One, I tracked my finances, me personally, for a year. Maybe you don't need to do it that long, just to see consistently, am I making enough money to survive on? Am I making more money than at my main job, right? But then you gotta ask yourself, what am I gonna do with that extra time? If I quit my job, is it so I can watch Netflix, is it so I can sleep in later? That's not optimal. What I realized is that I was not only making enough money to support myself and it was consistent, but I realized that my job was getting in the way to a clear path for more success for my side hustle. For YouTube, I'd used up all my PTO. I couldn't take any more trips to go to these expos, do these collabs. And I realized that that was how I've had a lot of success in the past. That's how I know I can get more success and grow my business in the future. And this job is limiting me. So I'm making enough money, I'm tracking it, it's consistent, and this job is getting in the way of me taking it to the next level. Writing's on the wall.
Yeah, I would say the simple answer is whenever the side hustle is making enough money that you could support yourself without like being super anxious financially.
For a period of time though.
At least 3 months in a row where it stayed the same or increased. At that point, quit the main job, go all in on the side hustle. But before that, this is the answer a lot of people don't want to hear, because a lot of people, I think, want to just be like, oh, I just want to quit the job and do the side hustle. I don't want to do both of them. Well, I know for you and for me, it was the same. There was some years where I was just like sleeping less, not hanging out with friends. It's when I was starting to work on my dating life. But if it was a day that I didn't have a date, I would just get home from work and just be on my laptop until like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. Then I'd wake up at 6 a.m. to go back to the office. That's how I got into a place where I was making money from like the ebooks I was publishing at the time.
Yeah, there was definitely a period of time I was only making like 40K, but I was like, if I can do it all, why am I gonna quit my job and lose out on that 40K of extra income? It was only to the point where I'm like, this 40K is limiting me from making 80K extra at my job, at my side hustle. But I'll tell you, the moment that you actually decide to quit your job, that takes some balls. It took me multiple days staring at my phone to be like, pick up the phone, call the boss, quit. And I couldn't do it. Finally, I said, fuck it. I'm out. I didn't say it like that.
I had to do it in person. I don't know. You didn't do it in person?
I was working remotely.
Oh, I had to do it in person. And there was probably a week straight where I came into work like early and I was like, all right, this is the day when he walks in. I'm gonna be like, let me talk to you really quick. Can we go into like the meeting room over there? I was so pumped. And my boss came into work late, like 5-6 days in a row. And I was like, I'm gonna have a heart attack getting into work. And finally one day he came in early and I just went in, and it probably wasn't that confident, but you got to have that conversation eventually. All right, this one is straight up for you, Max. How important was your personal YouTube/Instagram following to the success of Sour Strips?
I can't lie, it was instrumental. I don't think Sour Strips would have any level of the same success that it has or had if I didn't have that audience.
So you're saying like you just got like lucky? Sour Strips was just successful because of your YouTube?
No, bitch. What happened was I put in 7 years of work to build that audience before I could have the audience and the ease to launch that business. So yes, it absolutely helped springboard, but there was a lot of work that I had to put in. I spent 7 years building a loyal audience to then launch a product that made sense for my specific audience, and they supported me at that time. So if you want an easy way to launch a business, spend 7 years growing an audience first.
The easiest way, man.
Yeah, it's the easiest.
I actually have gotten that comment several times. They're like, yeah, this guy's only successful though because he can sell his products to his YouTube following. It's like, all right, and what did I do to build that YouTube following? Dedicated my life to it for 6 years? Yeah, it can be helpful. But that's a whole nother project on its own. Second question from Tim. When you first started Sour Strips, did you do the social media all by yourself? And at what point did you start employing people?
I tried to do everything that I could myself for as long as possible. And then when I had to hire someone, I tried to hire the least amount of people and have them do the most amount of things possible. When you start a business, especially a startup that's bootstrapped, right? You need to be boots on the ground, and you need a team of people that believe in your vision and that are gonna go along on that ride and are willing to do everything with you. It's so crucial to delegate when the time comes, and that's a skill set that is a hard one to do because you'll feel like no one can do anything as good as you. And that's correct because they can actually do it better when they can spend their entire focus on that. So delegation is key when you're financially able to do it. But in the early stages, you need to be wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah, I'd even almost say it's stupid to hire someone before you know how to do it yourself. Because, for example, if you hire someone to do your customer service and you haven't done it yourself, you don't even really know if they're doing a good job or if they're doing something that's like fucking the business over. If you're gonna bootstrap the business, you kind of need to have expertise in each part of the business to know that it's being run well. Also, people can quit at any moment, and obviously it's not ideal that like you're doing customer support for a business like Sour Strips. If they quit it unexpectedly, you might have to do it for a week until someone else can come in.
You essentially want to know how to do everything just in case. And you also want to show people, be like, hey, this is the task that I want you to do, but this is the way that I would like you to do it. And then over time, it's going to evolve into its own way, and they're going to do it even better because their whole focus on it. It's not just one of the 12 things that they do. But I've learned that especially as you start delegating out, each person should really only focus on about 3 to 5 like main tasks, and you start delegating out more and more. But in the early stages, you need to be doing everything and keep your team lean and small.
Part 3 from Tim. Damn, bro. Give us a second here, man. Did you test any of your business ideas and concepts and branding, names, logos, etc. before launching the business, or did you just trust your own judgment? If you did test, how did you get feedback while protecting your ideas/IP? So I basically trusted my gut, but then I started the businesses very small so that if they failed in round 1, well, then I wouldn't necessarily iterate to round 2. So when I launched Edge, it was like 100 t-shirts and 100 tank tops. Okay, we sold those out. All right, let's do double the quantities next launch. So I was trusting my gut, but I was not taking some risk that was gonna put me bankrupt as I experimented with it. And with Gains Club, for example, obviously we've closed it down now, but that's an example where we launched a pre-workout and protein and it didn't sell that well. So we had to go back to the drawing board and then try something else that was also trusting our gut, which was the Greens Plus test, and that did a lot better.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get caught up in the paralysis by analysis. They think that they need to over-test and get customer feedback and reaction and whatnot. You just gotta start. And like the idea is that you're so passionate about the business that you're starting, it will kind of speak for itself, and you can be like, this person like really cares about this business and wants the best product, and it's not gonna be perfect out of the gate, and there's gonna be room for improvement. And also just do things that make sense. For me, for example, Sour Strips wasn't this out of left field, random business, super amazing, godlike physique fitness guy launching a candy brand, which a lot of people may think. If you watch my content, you know that I am obsessed with candy. I talk about candy. I'm always showing it in my videos. When I go to expos, people are bringing me candy. So when I launched Sour Strips, it's a perfect product market fit. I didn't ask people,
hey, would you like candy if I came out with it?
It was just like, hey guys, this is Sour Strips. And everyone's like, of course Max came out with candy. That makes sense, right? So especially if you're gonna have any sort of social media following, launching products that make sense to your audience is almost like a guaranteed way that you're gonna have a lot of success. And then it's just improvements and improvements. And when I talk about candy and Sour Strips, you can tell that I'm super passionate about the business that I'm in. I love that it makes money, but that's not the only thing that I'm doing this business for.
It's kind of like they say, instead of ready, aim, fire, it should be kind of like ready, fire, aim, meaning that I try to value momentum over perfection. I'd rather just be like taking action and getting some forward momentum, and then afterwards figuring out maybe we need to adjust our sights a little bit, versus the paralysis by analysis, just like, yeah, but I don't know if it's the right thing. Nicola asks, how to grow my YouTube channel from 0 to 1,000 subscribers. Forget 1,000 subscribers. Don't make that your goal. When I got started, I'd upload a video, it would get no comments, no views, and I'd be like, fuck YouTube, how am I ever gonna stick with this? And you're always gonna feel like you deserve more views than you get. Even now, when I have a video that underperforms, I know it's the same for you, because we'll call each other and bitch and moan about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, all of my content should have 1 million views, but that's not how the algorithm works. I would say the main thing to do, other than just making high quality content that people would watch, is to look for videos that are performing well on other similar channels and then recreate that. And it's obviously gonna have your personality and your spin on it. When I did the videos interviewing the girls in the gym a few years ago, I saw this seems to be something people are consuming right now, kind of going up and talking to girls. Then I started making those, and those hit and got a lot of views.
But here's another thing that David and I can attest to. Yeah, you want to get a lot of followers, a lot of views, but at the end of the day, you want people that actually like care about you and get involved in what you're doing, because what's the point of having all these subscriber numbers if they don't really care about you? They're just like, dance monkey, like make the content that I want to see. It's better to have like loyal people that want to support you in your journey. If you want to turn this into a business, like I'd rather take 1,000 super loyal people that support me than 1 million people that don't give a fuck.
There's a book called 1,000 Loyal Fans, and that's the concept, is that with 1,000 loyal fans, you'll have the audience to be successful successful financially if you create products for those people. I mean, I know personally YouTubers who have multiple millions of subscribers and who make significantly less money than other YouTubers I know who have less than 100,000 subscribers, but they're just themselves in their video. They're not doing these big fancy operations, and the people who follow them give a shit about them.
I mean, a great example is I don't have the data to do this, but I'm probably the least popular influencer that has had the most successful business exit on like social platforms. Like I have to be up there.
Respect.
Thanks, man.
Jeremy from Boston. Shout out to Boston, bro. Most common mistakes when starting a retail, clothes, physical products, etc. business.
Going too big too soon.
Yeah, that's the one thing. I almost would recommend starting with a service-based business, whether it's coaching, an online community, doing video editing for someone, consulting, because especially for me, that allowed me to like learn the business cycle and marketing versus fulfilling the product and customer service and understanding how all of that worked to build a business before having the liability of products. Because even when it comes to taxes, you might not know this, but if I order a massive amount of inventory for Edge, until I've sold that, that's not even a business expense for taxes. That's just, I've converted my cash into this product. And as that product sits there, it's not doing anything other than me paying every week money to warehouse and store that product. Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is start really small, be okay if you sell out, and then get to the next level. But maybe consider a service-based business first, because those are also way higher profit margins. You don't have to deal with returns and shit.
And don't get caught up with just adding more and more and more. Focus on your hero product, your hero SKU. Go deeper rather than wider.
Yeah, and are you starting it because it seems cool to have a clothing business or a supplement business? Because if you just want to make money, the digital products, the digital services, they're going to be so much more profitable. That being said, if you're someone who's like obsessed with style and you've always dreamed of releasing different clothes, well, okay, that can make sense, but stress test it a little bit first in your mind. Don't just like YOLO it. Question from Michael Hudson, AKA the reigning champion of Beast Nation. Y'all saw him achieve victory last year. What is your strategy in keeping the people who work for you consistently motivated? Do you pay them bonuses? Do weekly one-on-ones with them? Team events to keep the morale? I'm gonna let Max answer this one because I don't really love managing employees, so I usually opt more to work for like an agency that it's its own business and they're motivated on their own to do really good work, because sometimes employees can get lazy. That's kind of what Michael's asking about.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really tough thing. I think being a leader and being a boss is actually one of the biggest things to learn, because not everyone's motivated by the same thing. When someone does a good job, like actually give them the verbal recognition. Some people like words of affirmation. That's really gonna get them amped up. Now, again, people can't pay their bills with words of affirmation, so you also want to back that up.
Bro, I'm struggling. Yeah, you're doing a good job. Don't worry.
Yeah, now it's learning your team and learning what makes them tick. A lot of times people want you to maybe be a little bit more involved and you to hear their feedback and their opinions on things. I think having one-on-ones with people is great. It's just realizing that every one of your employees is not you. And the way that you are motivated and the way that you work and the way that you're just like, oh, I just need to go in 8 hours, not talk to anyone, and I can just focus, that may not be everyone.
That being said, thank you, bro, for sitting down with me. Thank you to the guys in Beast Nation for asking the questions. If you're serious about getting to the next level this year, then you need to watch this video next, the one that's covering Max's face.
Wait, what?
It's about 10 things every man needs to quit in 2025. Seriously, these things will fuck you over if you don't cut them out. Click there to watch that now. If you're new to the channel, click down there to subscribe, as I drop 2 new videos every single week and you don't want to miss them. I'll talk to you in the next video.
Wait, is this thing actually cover my face? Stay beastly, man, whatever.
Stay beastly.